Welcome to one of the largest updates we've gone in a while that consists of over 100 plus changes such as weapon buffs, enemy nerfs, and most importantly, performance balancing, so we'll hopefully crash a lot less. But anyways, let's dive right into it. Alright, so let's take a look at the primary weapons. So the first thing on the list is the Punisher Plasma. So the damage projectile got decreased from 100 to 0, but the damage explosion got increased from 150 to 225. This just means it's going to be easier to kill multiple enemies because the explosion itself does more damage instead of just the initial projectile. So this thing's gonna be a lot better to use against the Illuminate and especially the Terminids. The next buffed shotgun, or just primary, is the Slugger. So the damage got increased from 280 to 330, and the durable damage got increased from 75 to 90. So this is gonna be a lot better for taking on those medium armored enemies like, you know, Devastators on the bot side, but I'm really curious to see how well this does against the Alpha Commanders on the bug side, because I actually don't remember how many shots it takes to kill them. It could have been 2 or 3, but I feel like now it's going to be 2-shotting them more consistently, or at least hopefully, so that's a pretty nice buff. The Liberator and the Liberator Carbine both got their damage increased from 80 to 90, and their durable damage increased from 15 to 22. So all of these weapons are just all around going to be hitting much harder, which is fantastic. I mean, I'll take it, no problem. The Liberator Penetrator got a very small damage increase from 60 to 65. So I mean, not really too much there. You won't really notice that much of a difference with the Liberator Penetrator, but we'll take the 5 damage. The Liberator Concussive got a damage increase from 65 to 75, and durable damage increased from 30 to 35. I actually did not know that the Liberator Concussive had so much durable damage. Okay, so I mean, this is going to be stronger against medium enemies. And the Tenderizer got durable damage increased from 22 to 30. Now, this is a weapon I did not expect to see get buffed at all, because I mean, I honestly thought it was pretty strong as is, but hey, we'll take the extra durable damage. It's going to make it a bit easier to kill those durable enemies. The Pacifier got a damage increase from 50 to 55, so similar to Liberator Penetrator, but the biggest buff to it is the stun value per projectile got increased from 1.5 to 2 seconds, or no, maybe not 2 seconds, but 1.5 to 2. So this weapon's just going to be stunning enemies for a longer period of time, which I think is exactly what this weapon needs, other than, you know, some more damage, but we'll take what we get. The SMG 37 Defender got a few nice buffs, so they got the damage increase from 80 to 100, so 20 extra damage, and durable damage increased from 8 to 18, so over double. This weapon's going to be hitting like a truck, I'm not gonna lie. And the drag got increased from 0.2 to 1.2. Now I'm not sure if that means the ergonomics or what, because they didn't really explain what the drag is exactly, so that's kind of open for debate. The MP98 Knight got its damage increased from 70 to 90, and durable damage increased from 7 to 18, exact same as the Defender, and the drag also got increased by 0.6 to 1.2. Yeah, I mean, the Knight, I guess it could use a buff. I mean, I didn't think it needed that big of a buff, but hey, I mean, we'll take it. It's just gonna shred Alpha Commanders, flesh mobs, just so much quicker and easier. Like, yeah, we'll take it. The Reprimand also got a damage increase from 125 to 135, and the drag also increased again from 0.6 to 1.2. Reprimand, another surprising weapon. I mean, I always thought it was a really solid gun all around, but hey, we'll take that. We'll take the free damage buff. The SMG 72 Pummeler got its damage increased from 70 to 85, so it got a 15 damage increase. Durable damage increased from 7 to 18 once again. The stun value per projectile increased from 1.5 to 2, and the drag increased from 0.6 to 1.2. I'm not gonna lie, we're probably gonna see a lot more people using the Pummeler now, because I mean, the 15 damage increase, it has the same durable damage as all the other SMGs, and it's got its stun value increased by 0.5. So I mean, it's pretty nice. The Sickle got its damage increased from 55 to 60, and the durable damage increased from 5 to 6, so kind of a small buff. I don't know if we'll really notice it too much, but we'll see. The MA5C Halo Assault Rifle got its damage increased from 80 to 90. Now, I don't know if this is going to be enough to bring the weapon back from, you know, where it is, because the weapon just didn't really hit that hard, and it also didn't have a lot of ammo in the magazine, so we'll have to give this one a shot, but I don't think it's really going to make too too big of a difference, but again, we'll have to test it out. So the M7S SMG, another Halo weapon, got its damage increased from 70 to 80, and its durable damage increased from 7 to 16. So a little bit more than double, but not as good as the other SMG buffs. And the drag increased from 0.6 to 1.2. The STA-11 SMG, this one is actually from the Killzone Warbond, or not Warbond, from the Superstore, a weapon that not everybody has, and its damage also got increased from 70 to 90, and durable damage increased from 7 to 18, and drag increased from 0.6 to 1.2. I feel like the Halo SMG should have received, you know, something similar, like the damage increased from 70 to 90, and also durable damage increased from 7 to 18. Yeah, I think they kind of missed on the Halo SMG, but I guess because it has a silencer, maybe they thought they didn't need to buff it that much. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. The Plasma 39 Accelerator Rifle. So it got an extra spare magazines increased from 8 to 12, and the ergonomics increased from 40 to 60. I felt the ergonomics actually weren't too bad on the weapon. The spare magazines is definitely great, but I think the biggest issue with this weapon still is just the constant reloading. You can only fire it 3 times before you have to reload it. Like, I think I'd rather have more ammo in the magazine than total spare magazines right now with it, but I know that doesn't really fit with the whole lore of the weapon, or weapon accurate to Killzone, or it's not accurate to the Killzone weapon if they give it more ammo in the magazine, but it would just feel much nicer to use. All right, next we have are the sidearm weapons. So the first one is the Saber. So the damage got increased from 110 to 125, and durable damage increased from 55 to 65. Okay, that's pretty nice. So melee weapons got a nice buff here. The combat hatchet damage increased from 110 to 160, so 50 damage increase. That's wild. And durable damage increased from 55 to 80, but the attack speed has been slightly reduced. Ooh, I don't really know how I feel about that there, the attack speed being reduced. I just hope it doesn't swing as slow as the machete now. And speaking of the machete, the damage of that got increased from 170 to 200, so a nice 30 damage increase, and durable damage got increased from 80 to 100. Okay, I mean, the machete might actually be okay to use right now. Like, even though it has a really slow attack speed, again, we'll have to test this out for ourselves. The Peacemaker got its damage increased from 85 to 95, durable damage increased from 25 to 30, and drag increased from 0.6 to 1.2. So I don't think we'll really notice too much of a difference with the Peacemaker. Obviously, you know, we'll take the buffs, but nobody really uses it to begin with, other than, you know, when you first start playing. The Redeemer got its damage increased from 60 to 70, and durable damage increased from 5 to 12. Okay, so that's a pretty big one. I mean, a lot of people do use the Redeemer, especially when they're starting out, because it's just a really solid secondary. Next up is the Verdict. Damage increased from 125 to 135, and drag increased from 0.6 to 1.2. Don't think we're going to notice too much of a difference with the Verdict, but obviously, again, you know, we'll take that. Now, the M6C SOCOM pistol. So this is the Halo pistol. The damage got increased from 100 to 110. Now, if I'm not mistaken, this means that the weapon will now one-shot Devastators if you shoot them in the face, because I believe Devastators have, or their face or their heads have either 105 or 110 health. So this weapon can now one-shot them, which is perfect. The drag got increased by 0.6 to 1.2. And we also have the Warrant. The drag got decreased from 0.3 to 0, and the gravity multiplier decreased from 1 to 0.3. So I'm going to assume that the gravity multiplier just meant like that the bullet would drop as it got closer to its target. So this weapon's going to be more accurate now, which, I mean, hey, we'll gladly take. And for the throwables now, so the Dynamite got its damage increased from 700 to 1,000. Armor penetration increased from medium to heavy. Demolition strength increased from 30 to 40, and stagger increased from 30 to 40, or uses have been decreased from 4 to 3. So the Dynamites are going to be a lot more impactful, but we're going to have less of them to use. I kind of don't mind this change at all. Now, since the demolition strength got increased from 30 to 40, I'm not sure if this is enough to destroy Bile Titan holes. I'm pretty sure it is, but I could be mistaken, so that is huge. Next, we have the G7 Pineapple. The shrapnel from main explosions increased from 7 to 18. Okay. Demolition strength on the main explosion increased from 20 to 30. Inner radius on shrapnel explosion increased from 1 to 2.5 meters. Okay, so we got a 2.5x radius buff to that. That's actually pretty massive. Damage on the shrapnel explosion increased from 70 to 100, so an extra 30. And removed lifetime on the shrapnel. I'm not really sure what that means exactly. Shrapnel from the shrapnel explosion decreased from 6 to 0. Next is the G50 Seeker, so high priority for flying enemies. That's actually great. So this is going to hit gunships more more often. I guess also hit shriekers more often too. Highest target priority for marked targets. So now if you ping an enemy, the seeker grenade is going to go for that target. That is actually massive. I'm not going to lie. That is going to be a lot of fun to use, especially on like the automaton side. And the damage got increased from 400 to 500. And I don't know if this is going to be enough to one-shot Devastators. I really hope it will be, but we'll have to give that a test. Now the G6 frag grenade got its uses increased from 5 to 6. I'm pretty sure this is like the little shrapnel grenade that you can get. So you went from getting 5 to 6. Then if you use the engineering passive, you can go from 6 to 8 if I'm not mistaken. So you can get 8 grenades with that. That is crazy. The G3 smoke grenade also got its uses increased from 4 to 5. I mean, I don't really use smoke grenades that much, but we'll take the extra one, no problem. And next we have are the throwing knives. The damage got increased from 250 to 300. Durable damage increased from 100 to 150. I mean, this is going to make them a bit better, but I still don't think a lot of people are going to take them. I mean, if they end up taking them, obviously it's going to feel a little bit nicer, but yeah, the throwing knives are just not in a great place. And then we also have the Scorcher. Okay, that's weird. The Plas 1 Scorcher. So plasma projectiles will now pass through foliage without losing velocity. All right, we also got stratagem buffs. So the first one is the Epoch. So the duration until explosion increased from 3 to 3.25 seconds. So about a 0.25 second buff. And I'm pretty sure what this is that when you're charging the weapon up, it's how long it takes before it just completely blows up and kills you and the weapon. We also got delayed muzzle change visual effects by 0.5 seconds. So it now appears when the projectile is overcharged, improving visibility of the charged state. Okay, that's pretty nice. It's just going to make it easier to see when the weapon is fully charged. Damage on the standard projectile's explosion increased from 400 to 500. Okay. And demolition strength on overcharged projectile increased from 10 to 30. So if I'm not mistaken, this means it should be able to close up bug holes then? Or I could be wrong. Again, we'll have to do some further testing. The Stalwart got a damage increase from 80 to 90 and durable damage increase from 15 to 22. Gladly take. The Flamethrower got its canister capacity increased from 130 to 150. Starting canisters increased from 2 to 3 and max spare canisters increased from 4 to 5. Okay, that's pretty huge for the Flamethrower. So this just means when there's a bug breach going on or an Illuminate drop, you can basically just keep, like you can just hold down the trigger and just keep burning things for much longer, and you have the extra ammo. So you're not going to feel like you're running low on ammo by just holding the trigger down all the time. The anti-material rifle also got a durable damage increase from 180 to 225. Starting magazines increased from 4 to 5 and max spare magazines increased from 6 to 8. So I mean, the durable damage, I mean, an extra 45 is pretty massive. Now, I wonder if this is going to one-shot Devastators more consistently, or if it's going to still take about like 2 to 3 shots. So, I mean, the material rifle could make a comeback from this, but we'll have to see. So, the autocannon also got its damage increase from 260 to 325. Damn, that is not bad at all. So, what is that? 40 plus 25, so 65 damage increase. Quick math right there. I mean, yeah, we'll gladly take that. The de-escalator got its damage increase from 55 to 100. Durable damage increase from 55 to 70. Okay, I mean, I didn't really think this weapon needed too much of a buff, but hey, it's going to be great for clearing out the swarms of enemies. Now, the MS7 or the MS11 solo silo. So the health got increased from 800 to 1500, almost double the health. So it's going to be harder for enemies to destroy this. Enemies will not attack it. Okay, so it got even more difficult for enemies to destroy it. That's actually crazy. And increased demolition strength needed to destroy it. So I guess, yeah, it basically just became tankier. That's it. So when you call it down, there's a lot less of a chance of it getting blown up and you can actually use it. Next, we have the orbital rail cannon strike. The cooldown got decreased from 210 to 180 seconds. This is a buff that we've been talking about for a very long time. The orbital rail cannon has always needed a cooldown buff. I'm not sure if the 180 seconds is going to be enough to make people want to take it more often, but we are moving in the right direction. So we dropped it down by 30 seconds, so half a minute. Next up we have is the XO45 Patriot exosuit. So missile armor penetration in worse angles increased from 6640 to 6650. So pretty much it's just going to be easier to get the full damage of the missile off on enemies when you're shooting at like worse angles. And what are worse angles is like, instead of shooting them head on, you're kind of shooting at them on the side. So this is going to be a little bit better. The rotary gun ammo capacity got increased from 1,000 to 1,350. So we got a 35% ammo increase on the minigun. That is amazing. So now you can just hold the trigger down, just start mowing things and not feel like you're going to run out of bullets if you're not like trying to precisely land them. And next up we have are the enemies. So flesh mobs targeting the faces deal extra damage to its main health, effectively creating weak spots. Finally, the flesh mobs actually have a weak spot. Now I don't know how effective this is going to be, but I'm assuming there's going to be some sort of damage multiplier when hitting them. Hopefully if you take out half of the faces, it'll drop them, but we'll have to see. The main health got decreased from 6,000 to 5,000. Again, another huge buff, or I guess nerf to the flesh mobs, however you look at it. And most health zones are slightly more durable. Okay, I'm not really a fan of that, but that's okay. You know, their main health pool got decreased and shooting them in the face got a little bit more effective. And they're slightly less vulnerable to fire to balance health decrease. I don't think that one should have been there, because if you're using a flamethrower or any fire weapon, you're very close to the flesh mob, and the flesh mobs, when they charge, they can also turn like almost on a dime. So when you're using a fire weapon, you have a very high risk, high reward type of play. So I don't think they should have made them less vulnerable to fire, but we'll have to see how much less they made them vulnerable. Elevated overseers got their main health decreased from 600 to 450. Head health increased from 150 to 200. Okay. Head zone armor decreased from 3 to 2. Torso health decreased from 600 to 450. Arms health decreased from 300 to 250. And slight increase on how easy it is to set them on fire. Okay, so I don't know if you guys really paid attention to this one, but the head zone armor decreased from 3 to 2. So you no longer need medium armor pen weapons to headshot elevated overseers. That's pretty huge, especially with all the decreases in their health. So we'll be able to actually take down the elevated overseers much quicker, but I still don't know what they're going to be like to fight, because, you know, the main issue with the elevated overseers, obviously one of them being, you know, kind of tanky, was just their incredible mobility and how they could just burst you down randomly in like a second. So I think these are really good, but I don't know. We'll have to see how this plays out, because again, just like the accuracy on them and their burst damage is just really high, especially considering how mobile they are. Next up are Leviathans, now equipped with beam-based weaponry, and Leviathans will not show up in missions outside of cities. That's actually fantastic. So instead of the Leviathans having those, you know, the cannons that they have that just kind of sometimes will one-shot you or two-shot you, now they have beam-based weaponry, and what that is the Harvester's laser beam. Now, it sounds great, but there could be a big issue with this. If they are still extremely accurate, are they just going to, instead of blowing you up, are they just going to beam you to death and there's no dodging it or anything, or are the beams going to move very slowly? So again, pretty nice, but we'll have to see. All right, so moving on, we have the Terminid. So the Rupture Strain enemies, updated textures for all Rupture Strain enemies for better readability. Okay, that's not bad. The Rupture Warrior. So movement speed when underground has been decreased, needs to surface more often when moving underground. Its burrow attacks is slightly slower and leaves more space to be dodged. Smaller damage boxes when attacking from below. Front legs armor decreased from 3 to 2, and will prefer to emerge before attacking turrets instead of destroying them from below the ground. Okay, these changes are actually massive. So the movement speed being nerfed, every time the Rupture Warrior would go underground, it felt like it actually sped up, and it felt like it was almost impossible to get away from it. Also, needs to surface more often when moving underground could be massive. We don't know exactly how long this is going to be, because when they're underground, let's say they're underground for 10 seconds. With this change, are they going to be underground for 9 seconds, or are they going to be underground for half of that time? Because now if this means that they're going to come out of the ground in about half of the time as they, you know, normally would, because if you didn't have an explosive weapon and a Rupture War would go under the ground, you would have to run for, I don't even know how long, but a ridiculous amount of time before they would actually unburrow themselves, and then you could take them out. So if they cut this time in half, we might no longer need to use explosive weapons. Obviously they're still going to be really good against the Rupture bugs just to get them out of the ground, but that is pretty huge. Also, the burrow attack is slightly slower and leaves more space to be dodged. It's fantastic. So I'm not gonna lie, before I would say there is a 75% chance of the Rupture Warrior just automatically hitting you, and there was no counterplay to it whatsoever. So we're gonna have to see just how much of a window that they made for us to, you know, dodge their attacks. Because another really big one I noticed is will prefer to emerge before attacking turrets instead of destroying them from below the ground. Now, if you guys were playing against the Rupture bugs when they came out, if you toss a sentry turret down, it was going to get destroyed instantly, because they would just blow it up from underneath, and the sentry turret could not do anything about it. You would just watch it die and blow up, which was extremely frustrating. So now the Rupture bugs might actually feel a lot better to fight. Next, we have the Rupture Spewer. So they retuned the timing of how fast it starts to act from when it unburrows. So when it comes out of the ground, ground, I guess it's going to take an extra second or two before it starts, spitting those acid blobs at you, which is nice. So they don't just instantly come out of the ground and blast you. So the Biospewer variations increase size of its mouth weak spot. I'm not going to lie, I actually don't think I ever really aimed for Biospewer's mouths that often. The only time I really aim for that is when they do that roar before they start attacking you or charging you. So I mean, hey, we'll take that. And Brood Commanders, slightly harder to set on fire. Now, Brood Commanders are just the weaker versions of Alpha Commanders that are on the lower difficulty. Now, I don't want to say we don't have to worry about this too much because I don't play on the lower difficulties that often, but I know some people do. So I don't know how they're really going to like that change. Warriors, slightly harder to set on fire and slight durable increase in head and body. Oh, so I guess like incendiary weapons kind of got a little bit of a nerf against the warriors here. So that's not great. Now we got a huge nerf coming, which is amazing, or nerf buff again, depending on how you look at it. Dragon Roach. So the spawn rate has been decreased 50% lower on difficulties 5 and 6, 40% lower on difficulties 7, 8, and 9, and 33% lower on difficulties 10. Destruction of the wings result in an instant termination of the dragon. Wings now have their own health pool of 4,000 and increased how much damage wings take from explosions. So since they have 4,000 health, I'm pretty sure the spear should one-shot them more consistently now, because the spear does 4,000 damage, and the 33% lower spawn rate on difficulty 10 is massive. The amount of times I've gone up against a dragon roach, like, I'm not even kidding, 5 seconds after landing, they spawn in before I could even call in the first stratagem. It was wild. So this is going to be huge, especially with the wings actually having a health pool now, and that if you do enough damage to it, they'll get taken down, because before the wings were just invulnerable, like they were just invincible. The only way you could take down the dragon roach was hitting it in the body or the face. So being able to destroy the wings and bring it down is huge. Biospears also got a slight nerf / buff, again, depending on how you look at it. So they're slightly harder to set on fire, but larger body parts are slightly more durable. Wow, that is not great at all. Okay, so all around they got a little bit more difficult to fight. Now the Hive Lord improved performance during Hive Lord encounters. Now I don't know what this means exactly. When it says improved performance, does this mean the Hive Lord is going to be fighting a lot better against you? Like he's going to be more accurate, or are computers and consoles going to perform better when we're fighting the Hive Lord, so less frame drop? So this one, there's a little bit to interpret here, but we'll have to test this one out as well. Now the Automaton. So base alarming. Automaton troopers in bases will require better visual confirmation before calling in reinforcements instead of calling them in immediately. So this one, I wonder if this is actually going to change, because if you ever play against the automatons, sometimes you'll see a bot drop get called in on the other side of the map, and you don't know why. I don't know why either, because no one saw you because they're so far away. So I wonder if they're going to stop calling in bot drops that are far away. If that's the case, that's going to increase the difficulty of the automatons, because then you'll have to deal with more bot drops instead of having like one get wasted because it gets called in on the other side of the map. Now Devastators are slightly harder to be put on fire, and large body parts are slightly more durable. Okay, so Devastators are going to be a bit more difficult to take care of, especially with incendiary weapons. Yeah, incendiary weapons have kind of taken a pretty big hit. Not a big hit, but like they've taken a hit in this update. Next are the Command Bunker turrets. Removed ragdolling from its projectile explosion. Those of you who don't know, Command Bunker turrets are those really small turrets that shoot in like 2 to 3 bursts that would ragdoll you and always hit you. Now they don't have ragdolling, which is incredible. Like honestly, I'm just really glad they took out ragdolling, because it's one of the most frustrating mechanics in this game that people just don't really want to deal with, because there is an excessive amount of it, especially on like the bot side. Factory Striders are also slightly less vulnerable to fire. I mean, I'll be honest, not that many people are really trying to kill Factory Striders with fire weapons, but I kind of understand it. It's a big, metal beast. War Striders shoots 2 fewer grenades per salvo. Nice. Shoots grenades less often, and removed ragdolling from its projectiles explosions. They added weak spots to aim for the eyes and the vents that are on the back. Okay, so these are huge changes to the War Strider. So the first most noticeable one is the 2 cannons on the side of them. They're no longer going to be able to ragdoll you and just kill you instantly. And what would happen normally is you would get ragdolled by the cannon while the grenades are coming out, or after he would send out the grenades, and then you'd basically just instantly die. He'd kind of lock you in that position and there would be no escape. But now since you don't get ragdolled from it, you're still probably going to take like a large chunk of damage from those cannons, but you can actually escape the grenades that it shoots out. And since there's fewer grenades and it does it less often, you're not really going to be put in a situation where you have to constantly having to dodge grenades getting tossed at you. So this is all around just a great change to it. Scout Striders, armored top shield is more durable. Okay, so they're gonna be a little bit more difficult to take care of. And here we have the fixes. These are huge. So fixed an issue where Helldivers were unable to call down stratagems in the objective area of the Nuke Nursery cave mission. Pretty big fix right there. Fixed an issue with the B100 portable hell bomb sometimes falling on cave roofs in the Destroy Spore Lung mission. I'm pretty sure the very first time I tried doing the Spore Lung mission, it kept on calling them down on the top of the cave, and it was so just frustrating. Like, I can't explain it. It was just rage inducing. But hey, we'll take that fixed. Fix an issue with the drill objective stratagem sometimes landing in unintended places, such as on top of caves in Nuke Nursery Hive World missions. Again, another frustrating thing to deal with. And players can now stay aiming down sights when activating the Lift 860 hover pack. Oh, sweet. So now we can actually snipe enemies while we're flying. But the thing is, when you're using the hover pack and trying to snipe enemies, just the weapon sway is just insane. So I mean, I don't really think this is going to do too much, but hey, we'll take it. So crashes, they fixed a rare crash occurring when fighting Illuminates. Fixed a crash when hot joining and readying up before the other hot joiners. Fixed a crash occurring when a player would rejoin multiple times. Fixed a rare crash caused by Eagle 1. Fixed a rare bug where Eagle 1 would never be removed from the game session and eventually cause crashes. Fixed a crash bug that could happen when spawning in groups of enemies. Fixed a crash affecting, I'm just going to stop saying fixed a crash because you guys get it, these are all fixes. Affecting Helldivers trying to lean out from vehicles. That could happen when scrolling through the weapon customization menu. Crashes that could happen during the game shutdown, so the game would crash while you're shutting it down. That one's interesting. And weapons wise, fixed armor penetration values in the stats menu for the CQC5 combat hatchet, the stun baton. So pretty much all of the melee weapons, including the one true flag, also the G7 pineapple grenade, the armor penetration value displayed as medium instead of light. Yeah, that was an issue before, not really a huge one, but it would say that all of the melee weapons had light armor pen when they had medium. I mean, it would throw new people off, but after you use it here and there, you'll kind of realize they all have medium armor, or they all had medium armor pen. They improved the initial bullet alignment when strafing and riding in vehicles. Awesome. Move the first person camera further away from the MS-11 solo silos, targeting designator scope. Now, one issue I had with this here is that the scope for the solo silo is actually a 4x scope, but you couldn't change the level of zoom that you had on it. And then also, yeah, like your character was a little bit too close to the scope. Like it just didn't work how it was intended. So this is pretty nice. They fixed the weapon reload animation desyncing when wielding armor passives that give increased reload speed. The FAF-14 spear can now lock onto automaton AA turrets. Okay, we'll take that. That's actually pretty nice. Fixed projectiles hitting direct center of sights when extremely close to objects. And haptics feedback is now present throughout the firing of the Flam 40 flamethrower stratagem. Okay, and here we have a lot of miscellaneous fixes. So fixed a bug where Hive Lord's body parts would not spawn properly. Fixed an instance where the Helldivers couldn't rejoin their previous host if said host has left the game in progress from the loadout. Fixed a bug where the Lift 182 warp pack would sometimes get stuck, suspended in the air, or crash. Okay, I've never had to deal with the warp pack, this kind of bug before, but I'm glad I never will have to deal with it. Fixed Adreno defibrillator armor passive animation bug. Fixed disconnecting issues when joining a solo player with 3 cross-platform players. Fixed mesh clipping for the arms on some animations. Reduced the chance of the extraction shuttle clipping through terrain. Now, this actually happened a lot to me when I was playing on the Hive Lord planet, like Oshuain. The amount of times the Pelican 1 would actually clip through the ground was crazy, so I'm really glad that they fixed that. Fixed a flickering bug on the avatar when the Helldiver gets affected by mud or snow. Fixed a bug hole covered by terrain in one of the CR10 mega nests. Okay, so those of you who don't know, there was one bug hole in the mega nest that basically, it was kind of filled in with regular terrain, so you were never able to blow it up with like a regular grenade. You had to use like a really heavy duty explosive like the Ultimatum, or even call down like a stratagem just to close it up. So I'm really glad that they fixed that. Rupture Warriors can no longer destroy deployable turrets while still underground. Okay, we kind of already went over that. Fixed an issue where the front door of the gator could become inaccessible. I've never had to deal with that, but glad that's fixed. Fixed a rare issue where the players could disconnect when they are part of a mixed platform 3-person lobby that joins a solo player under poor network conditions. Fixed an issue with Illuminate dropships not taking correct damage during the Repel Invasion Fleet missions. Yeah, during the Repel Invasion Fleet missions, the Illuminate dropships were inconsistent because sometimes you could stick a thermite to it and it would blow it up, sometimes it wouldn't. wouldn't. Exact same thing with the ultimatum. Sometimes it one tap it, sometimes it wouldn't. So that inconsistency was really annoying, but glad that got changed. The currency symbol for Saudi Real, I definitely mispronounced that. Sorry about that. Is now placed correctly in the game shop. Nice. The oil rig's reverse audio will no longer continuously play if the player attempts to reverse during oil extraction. Yeah, basically, so the oil rig in one of the missions, when you would reverse it, it would make, if you guys have ever heard, I think it's like a dump truck reversing. It just makes a constant beeping sound. That's what they're talking about, just a loud beeping. They fixed Helldivers going through the floor in the tutorial mission when diving near the barbed wires. I have never had this issue, but that was interesting. Fixed a rare soft lock in tutorial. That sounds frustrating. Glad that's got changed. Helldiver is now killed when diving into drill holes during nuke nursery missions. Did they not? I could have sworn you would always die if you dived into the drill holes, but all right. I guess we know now you'll instantly die. Fixed an issue where Helldivers could enter a vehicle even though the seat got claimed by someone else first. So what, you could have two drivers, I'm guessing? I wonder how that would work. If one person like turned left and the other person turned right, would they just keep going straight? Anyways, fixed controller vibrations behaving incorrectly when connecting or disconnecting controllers on PC. Fixed miscellaneous threading issues in the audio system. Okay, this one could be huge because sometimes when I would play, my audio would just randomly start to chop out, which is extremely frustrating. So I'm glad, or I'm really hoping that this is what they fixed. Fixed a minor texture clipping issue on the floor between Hellpod launchers on the ship. Not too important. Fixed an issue where voice chat could sometimes change volume unexpectedly, particularly when entering caves. Yeah, so I always have my voice chat muted, so I've never had this problem. Okay, and here is the biggest thing in this update. So optimization. They optimize status effects. They optimize physics by only enabling powered ragdolls when needed. So I'm assuming powered ragdolls is like, you know, your character gets thrown literally across the map. I feel like this is going to happen less often. They optimize physics body handling for damage calculations, optimize automaton units and NPC eyes by changing them from particle effects to shaders, optimized AI behavior by analyzing and stripping out redundant code, reduce stuttering during drop-in sequences for missions on Hive Worlds. Well, it wasn't even just Hive World missions. Every time you'd launch into a mission, I'm not even kidding, my frames would drop down to like 20 FPS for some reason. And like, if you guys are going to say it's like, oh, it's your computer, it's not good. Guys, I'm running like some crazy stuff. Like I got a 5090 in here and a 9950 X3D, and my frames were dropping down to like anywhere between 10 to 30 when starting a mission. So that was kind of insane. And it always sketched me out because I'm like, is my computer about to crash or something? They also improved the audio I/O performance. Snow distribution and overall look has been reworked. Oh, that would be pretty interesting to see on the snow planets. Improved performance by tweaking LOD settings for characters. Optimized asset distribution for several planet types. Optimize scattered assets such as grass on various planet types. Optimize asset distribution in Hive Lords and Terminid caves. I'm just going to stop saying optimize because it's in every single one. Asset setup and geometry for assets used in Hive Worlds and Terminid caves. Status effect physics and particle systems while maintaining visual feedback and fidelity. Various automaton explosion effects. Okay, that's cool. Acid rain effect during acid storm. Now this was annoying because every time the acid rain would come on, and let's say if you're using gas grenades or the sterilizer, you wouldn't know if an enemy was gassed or if they were affected by the acid, which was kind of frustrating. And also it was just kind of hard to see in general when the acid storm would come. Like it was just a really kind of annoying visual. They also optimized the Dragon Roach fire attack visual effect. I'm not really sure how that's going to play out because one thing I did notice in the patch was they didn't add anything about the Dragon Roach's fire attack, because the Dragon Roach attack would almost always hit. Anytime it would spew the flames, it would connect with you, I want to say about 9 out of 10 times. Like it was ridiculously accurate. They also made various optimizations to the fire system, including particle and light optimization. Improved performance by optimizing the render of several shaders. One thing I didn't see in this patch is they didn't really address anything about the hard locking, because there's been a handful of content creators that I've been in contact with, and they've been saying when they were playing Helldivers 2 that the game hard locked their PC and caused some issues, and they were saying that it wasn't like just from Helldivers 2, but it had like a lot to do with it. So this is still kind of a concerning issue for like a lot of people out there playing on PC and whatnot. But anyways, I'm really hoping that these optimizations have improved the game's performance, because I have not been able to stream this game at all without audio cutting out, stuttering, freezing, just tons of issues, but we'll have to see. But anyways, if you guys enjoyed the video, drop a like, subscribe, really helps the channel out, and see you guys.